All right, good morning. Let's start by holding the opposite elbow, arms overhead. I'm going to take a stretch, really kind of circular movement. So thinking about the neck and the shoulders. You can roll the head to one side so it's cradled in the arm. Slowly lifting the shoulders at the back if the neck feels a little bit vulnerable there. But here we're really talking about the very upper spine and the neck. Checking out movements here. There's too much holding the opposite elbow, maybe the opposite hand, linking the fingers, or with the arms separate. So that sense of letting the head circle, and getting a bit of movement into the shoulders. And then wherever you are, let's take those circles in the other direction. If you've got any niggles in the lower back, just try to avoid sticky bottom out here. Tuck under, so that as we lean back, we're not overstraining the lower back. We are moving the upper back, so the knees can be soft here, just to get that work into the thoracic spine. And then we'll take it side to side, so holding the opposite wrist now, drawing the arm up and over the body, getting that lovely opening on the side of the body, and then switching, guiding the other arm up and over. Breathe in center, breathing out into that lateral flexion of the spine. Lovely, reach right down the side of the body. Couple more rounds. Just wakening up the body. And then for our twist, we'll take a really wide star position and swivel around and really reach for that diagonally across the other armpit back. And just pause and keep reaching. Don't think about specific shape, just think about reaching to your end range. So I'm getting this over the hip, up into the arm and stretching into the fingertips, right over the shoulder blade, I'm getting a stretch, and then I'll come center and take it to the other side. So a big star stretch all the way around. Keep swiveling in, and that stretch, diagonal stretch across the body. You can lift the back heel, keep reaching into the fingertips. Bottom touch, when we're rotating the spine, nice to keep the spine nice and long. Another little stretch here. We'll take this once more each side. Take it across. Maybe stretch in a slightly different position, maybe looking up this time. Stretching up to the ceiling and down to the floor. And that's down to the other side. Such a deep stretch along such a long chain of the body. It can almost take your breath away. We so rarely stretch with such patience and checking in how the body feels. So be patient with it, keep reaching. Take it to a comfortable level. And then release, shrug it out. We're going to take the arms in a big circle with a big breath in, and then one hand on the front thigh, one on the back. We're rolling down and actually feel the front and back of the leg until you're in a forward fold, and then let the hands dangle and see if you then can feel the leg from the inside. So when we were running the arms, hands down the leg, I think that's proprioception, just feeling where our legs are in space. And now try and take that sense of awareness from the inside. And then rolling all the way up, circle the arms, take it to the other side. So one hand on the top of the leg, one on the back of the leg. Feeling, maybe giving it a bit squeeze on the way down, and then folding, pause. Still having that awareness of the leg. And then rolling up. So if you're feeling a little bit more vigorous, you might go a little bit faster. Otherwise, if you're with me, take your time to have a big yawning stretch and just concentrating on developing that sense of awareness in the body. Folding, feeling the leg then from the inside before rolling up through the spine. Big breath in, stretch. Take it to the other side. We'll have one more round. Or if you've picked up the pace, you might get 3 or 4 in. I'm on my last round, a big stretch here. A little bit of a twist. Definitely feel the stretch down the back of the leg. Blood rushing to the head. I can still feel the tingling along the legs wherever my hand hands, run down. The last one to the other side, a big stretch, and take it down. And roll up through the spine. Just shake out the legs. We're now thinking about the hip flexors. So let's step 1 foot forwards. So if my right foot is forward, my right hand is going to be on my back. So I'm ready with you. I think that works. So the other hand, we're going to take the arm all the way forwards with the palm up. And then we'll take the arm overhead. And then we'll take it behind us. But you notice that I'm turning, externally rotating forwards, internally rotating backwards. So let's use a hip flexor stretch here. Let's lift the spine. And as we bend that front knee, we'll take the palm up to the ceiling, keeping the chest up and proud. And then as we straighten up, we have the arm by the side. And then as we rebend, we'll take the arm overhead. More of a stretch on the outer hip. And then we'll take the hand behind, so as if you're pushing the wall behind, palm to the back wall. So let's breathe in center, breathing out into the lunge, palm up forwards. Breathe in, breathe out overhead. And behind, so pushing into the wall. So let's keep going, your pace, so it's with your breath. So every time we breathe out, the knee comes forward, so getting that hip flexor stretch, lifting the arm, straightening up overhead, right over that hip there, and then pushing back to the wall behind. So I'm supporting the lower back because it's very tempting to stick the bottom out here. We definitely want a long spine, chest open. So we're aiming for that neutral spine. Let's have one more set with this leg. And then set the legs together. Have a little shake out if you need to. So the other leg back, again supporting the lower back. We're taking the palm forwards. And then overhead, stretch overhead. So gives you that stretch over the hip. And then pushing the palm back. So we're finding where our flexibility takes us today and on this particular arm. So no forcing. Feeling a nice gentle movement. But some resistance here. My back heel lifts a little bit as I lunge. Yours doesn't have to, because that can be a bit more challenging for the balance. See how you get on. And the hip flexors, we don't need to get a really strong stretch to relieve out the hip flexors. Just a nice little opening here of the hip is great. And the repetition will gradually ease out any tightness from the hips. Last set. And pushing back. Brilliant. Shake out the legs. All right, last thing standing up, let's take the legs wide. Take a bend in the knees. Let's keep the chest upright, proud. Take a bend into the knees with the knees trying to reach to the side wall. So think about imprinting the whole of the foot. All right, arms out to the side and we'll circle forwards, up, back and down. Forwards, up, back and down. So as we move, see, keeping the movement going in the hips, the knees, keeping the knees open wide. Then stretching into the fingertips. See if we can keep the front ribs together so we're not flaring open, keeping everything nice and tight here. Shoulders down away from the ears. So again, synchronizing with the breath, breathing in, up, breathing out, down. So you may go at a different pace, and that's fine. Last few rounds, maybe we take it a little bit bigger. You feel the shoulder blades coming together. And then now that we've warmed up the hip flexors, let's take a little bit of a marching step. So using rotational strength in the body, let's take the legs in. Think about opposite elbow to knee. So if we start with right elbow to left knee, it might just briefly touch. See, we've got those core muscles engaged there, and then take it to the other side. So breathe in, so all breathing out, taking that twist elbow to knee. It's like we're slowing down a run, a comedy, big, exaggerated run. So if we get really strong in a slow, exaggerated move, we're much better equipped for if we stumble. The rotational strength, so important when we're walking, running. I'm using the strength of that out breath to give me that extra little bit of twist in the spine. And if you're maybe tapping, this is fine. We're working at whatever level you're working on your balance, that twist in the body. Gradually starting to synchronize with the breath so we can lengthen the out breath and maybe take that twist a little bit further, maybe for a little bit longer. Notice I'm using the back elbow, so the whole body's involved in this twist. Keep going. See now if you can think about an proprioception, so it's our awareness of our body in space, our position. See if you can get your eyes out. Think about lifting your eyes to the rising sun. So looking forwards, because we know where the elbow and the knee are. Trust and see if we can take that twist without looking, without dropping the head, without dropping the gaze. Also, there's a habit there, isn't there, of looking forwards at books, at devices. So just thinking about our whole body posture, keeping the head squarely over the ribs. Last few rounds. We'll take this position once we're on our backs again. So don't worry if this is difficult with balance. Looking at the same movement with gravity on our side. Last set each side, then coming down to all fours. All right, let's take a roll down, chin to chest. Let's zigzag our way down. Be soft in the knees, so not the traditional Pilates roll down. Just find a nice, soft, easy movement down to the floor. And let's go straight into cat-cow. So release the toes at the back. Let's breathe in as we look up. See if you can engage the whole of both hands. And then using the breath out, chin to chest, separate the shoulder blades, lengthen through the tailbone. So tailbone is pointing down to the backs of the knees. Again, breathing in to look up. Chest open here. Chin forwards. And then breath out, rounding. We're going to tap, still thinking about that rotational strength. We're going to tap our knee to the opposite wrist. And you'll see this kind of internally rotates the hip. We're going to keep that internal rotation and draw a big arc until the legs cocking up and over the body. We're stretching over the hip. Back to the wrist and set down. And then to the other side. You can't see so well here, can you? And to the other leg. So the knee comes across to the opposite ankle. See my toes pointing out to the side, knee in that internal rotation. We keep that and lead with the foot all the way up and over the body to get that hip opening, trying to keep both arms straight. Back to tapping the wrist and setting down. So there we go. We're going side to side, wrist, cocking the leg up and over, wrist, reset. So in your own time, I'm going to give some of you an option in case you want it of doing this same thing but from a down dog. So, set the camera down a little bit. All right, so that would look like body weight shifting forwards, opposite wrist, carving through the air like a scorpion, and then back to the wrist again, and then setting the foot down. So you choose. Maybe you want to try once in the lifted position. And then you can always revert to the knees down. So choose a level where we're still working that rotational strength. It doesn't matter whether the knees are lifted or not. Better to feel absolutely in control and secure in the movement. Whether the knees are lifted or down. Last 2 sets. So working into the hip. You'll be aware of that movement in your core. And also maybe a challenge just to keep the arms straight. For the last one, evening yourself out left and right. A little bit of clicking in the hips, okay, as long as there's no pain. Walking the leg up and over. And then come all the way down to your belly. You can stack the hands with the chin. You just rock the hips side to side just for a moment. We're going to take a Sphinx and a spine extension. So let's set shoulders over the wrists, forearms parallel to each other. Let's zip the legs together. Now, if we think about creating a dome shape, initially thinking about chin to chest, and then as if you're trying to create a tunnel for a train, lift your bottom so the knees down to the tops, feet are pressed into the floor. You're lifting your belly, bottom tucked, so that if I were to drop oil on the center of your spine, it would roll down off your tailbone, down to the backs of the knees. And then lay the hips back down, breathe in and look up. So we'll work with the breath, using the breath out. We're flexing the spine, start from chin to chest, separate the shoulder blades, draw your front ribs together in a lift, lift your tummy bottom back to the spine, try and identify your pelvic floor, lift, squeeze up, and then lower down for a recovery breath in. So really maximizing on that breath out, form that tunnel, navel to spine, core sitting in the waist, and when you need to breathe in, lowering down, recovery breath, and open the chest. Let's think about when we come into this lift core work here. Think about your hip bones. Think about the muscles that link those hip bones. Think about your lower abdominal muscles and see if you can have a sense of drawing those hip points closer together. Tailbone down, pointing down to the backs of the knees, navel lifting, front ribs together, shoulder blades separating slightly so we get that doming of the back, lowering down. Hopefully you're getting a bit of heat into your core now. Last few rounds. Obviously, if you need to double up your mat for your elbows or your knees, make sure you make those base points comfortable. For the last 2 rounds, let's see if we can really focus on our pelvic floor. So sometimes get you to feel where your sit bones are and get a sense of pulling those 2 points together. So come on, last 2 rounds, we lift, bottom tucked. So make sure your bum isn't sticking out here. It's the reverse, doming, think an upside down bowl shape. Find the pelvic floor, lift and squeeze up. Breath into recover, we're in our last one, then it's a towel pose, to chest, round the back, bottom tuck, so you're lengthening the lower spine. Try to think about how can you traction, how can you decompress the lower spine. So it's bottom tucking, finding that dome shape. You should really feel this in your core. I certainly can. And then we'll walk the hands all the way back so we can take a child pose, just resting back on the heels and take a little rock here. So as I promised, we'll take that sort of cycling action or that slowed down march that we took standing up onto our backs. So if you roll over onto your back, hug your knees into the chest, and let's mimic that elbow to knee action again. So we'll start by holding the head in the hands. A breath in to prepare, and as you breathe out, opposite elbow to knee and extend the other leg. The leg can be bent, but just separate the knees. Breathe in to come center, breathe out. Take that cycling action, elbow to opposite knee. If you can, to the outside of the knee. So we'll breathe in center, breathe out, take that twist. So tummy bottom back to the spine, pelvic floor, helping here, front ribs knitted together. And try to avoid powering through side to side. See if we can keep that idea of what can I feel inside the body, recruiting the muscles consciously, pulling in, feeling that wringing out of the waist. And that synchronizing with the breath, just to make the movement a bit more mindful. That's how we can then go a little bit deeper and develop that self-awareness. One more set. And then you can take a full body stretch. So arms overhead. Breathe into the belly to stretch out the abdomen. And then we're rolling onto one side. We're going to take the clam. Head in the hands or resting the head down, but knees are bent out in front of you. Let's lift the feet, press the feet in towards each other, just 6 rounds. Breathe in to open, core still engaged, breathe out to close. 6. Breathe in, exhale, 5. In, out, 4. And 3. And 2. Tailbone long. And 1. Rest the lower leg down, top knee into the chest. Flex the foot, toes up to the knee. Kick forwards, point back. Kick forwards, and point back. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Torpedo, set up, legs straight. Lift the top leg, bottoms tucked, your TBAs on strong. And lift your bottom leg. And now let's take some concentration. See if you can relax the top leg and make it really heavy so the bottom leg is holding the weight of the top leg. Press the lower leg up into the top leg and pulse up. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down once more. Lift the top leg. Lift the bottom leg and push it into the top leg now. See if you can find heaviness in that top leg. Let it be held. Start to feel the weight on the lower leg. You're in a thigh engaged and pulse up. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. Rolling onto your backs to take it onto the other side. We've got the clam. Just 6 rounds, so we make them count. Add resistance by pressing the feet to the other. Lift, breathe in, open. Breathe out and close. So 6. Navel to spine, front ribs together. 5. Tailbone down to the bottom edge of the mat. 4. Shoulders down. 3, 2, and 1. Rest the bottom leg down, knee into the chest, kick forwards, point back. You can hold the knee, especially if you're a little bit clicky. Otherwise, you can let go and let the leg lead the whole movement. Just adding a little bit of support for my knee here. 3, 2, and 1. Torpedo setup. So aligning ourselves up with the front edge of the mat, nice long line, so it's hard to balance, bottom tucked. Lift the top leg, and now lift the bottom leg and create a ledge. So a bit of concentration required to fire up the lower leg, but have a heavy top leg. And we pulse up. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, rest down. Last time, lift the top leg, bottom tucked, and lift and press into the top leg, heavy top leg, and pulse. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. Knees into the chest, have a little rock on the spine. We haven't done the Padangusthasana knee release for a long time, so let's do that. Make your arms work. We'll start by holding the back of the right knee. The left leg can be wherever you like. Now, the leg needs to be soft and like a jelly, like it belongs to someone else. I'm going to shake it vigorously for the count of 10. So let's just start to feel that as if you're shaking out tension. You might be a little bit side to side, forwards and backwards, a circular action. Doesn't matter, just shaking out vigorously. Make your arms work, chin still tucked into the chest, so nice and light at the back of the neck. And go for it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Keep going. At the end of the count, we'll straighten out the legs and lie like in Shavasana, just so we can bear the legs. 4. I know you're also getting tired, but it's good and stretching. 3, 2. Last little bit of a shake. 1. Straighten out the legs, close the eyes. And just let the fizzling, any sensations ripple through the body. And find softness and heaviness. So creating a little bit of space, tension relief down the joints. Let's take it to the left leg. Draw the left knee into the chest. And when you're ready, reach up the chin into the chest, holding the back of the knee. Just have a go and see how it feels on this side. You can be as vigorous as you like. I know your biceps will be maybe screaming at you by now. Not even started counting yet. Go for it. And imagine like a tangled up tassel-y scarf, and we're shaking out. So all the tassels, which are muscle fibers, all line up beautifully. So coaxing a little bit of softening and organization to those muscle fibers for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. And remember, at the end of this, we'll straighten the legs, and that's when it feels lovely to relax the arms. 6, 5, nearly there. 4, last little bit of effort. 3, 2, 1. Straighten out the leg, relax the arms, close the eyes. And breathe. Enjoy the feeling of the legs on the floor. The softness in the thighs, calf muscles. And of course, heaviness in the arms. We're going to set up for a bridge. Take a bend into the knees. A little gap between the knees and the feet. Feet close enough that you can just brush the backs of the ankles. We'll start by a conventional irregular bridge, pressing into the heels of the feet, peeling the lower spine off. See if you can keep train track lines of the knees staying in line with the center of the hip joint, rising on up. Working your way along the spine, starting to feel the chest coming up towards the chin. Pressing into the backs of the arms. If it's available, to clasp the hands behind the back and maybe shuffle the shoulders a little bit underneath you. So it's like taking a fish. That's Shandrasana. And open the chest wide, still the knees charging forwards, bottom tucked. Think about the creases at the tops of the legs. We're eliminating those. And breathing deeply. Feel that lovely openness across the chest. Then release the hands and roll down through the spine. One vertebra at a time to maintain that pelvic tilt, posterior tilt of the pelvis, so we can work one tiny bit of the lower spine into the floor at a time. We'll do this again, but we'll lift the arms up overhead, peeling the spine up, lifting the arms overhead. Feel that length in the back of the neck. And now see if you can press the backs of the hands, arms, shoulders into the floor. If you need to take them wider and bend into the elbows, that's fine. But if you can, we're taking the arms as straight as is available. So that can be anywhere from wide goalposts to all the way parallel overhead, maybe even the thumbs touching. And we'll roll down through the spine, keeping the shoulders as close to the floor as you can. So working on that stretch of the thoracic spine, working against any rounding the shoulders, and slowly lowering down one vertebra at a time. So let's work with that version with the arms overhead, twice more. Breath into prepared, breathing out, rolling down through the spine. So the key here is to keep the backs of the shoulders close or on the floor. And that pressure allows us to start to really lengthen around the thoracic spine. You'll find we're kind of countering that rounding in the back. If there's anywhere that feels interesting on the way down, maybe pause there, and then we'll have one last bridge. Lifting the hips high, and it's the kind of magic that happens around the thoracic spine, where you just know you're regaining length that we maybe are losing in the spine. To think about the tailbone reaching the backs of the knees, keep the pelvic tilt, shoulders into the floor. So we're reducing the curves in the spine as we lower down to the floor. And once you're down, knees into the chest, have a little rock on the spine, taking the knees side to side for a little bit of a twist, chest opening, and just like that, 30 minutes is just gone. Well done, very well done.